The moment Sebastian hit the Go Live button, that fateful evening in his sunlit Los Angeles apartment, the last thing he expected was to upend his entire world in front of 20,000 viewers. Hey everyone, it's your boy Seb here with a special announcement that I've been holding on to for way too long. He said, his voice steady, but his hand shaking slightly on the keyboard as the chat filled with casual greetings and game requests. He reached off screen and gently pulled Gabriel into the frame, the man's warm hazel eyes meeting the camera with a mix of nerves and quiet pride, his arm sliding around Sebastian's shoulders in a protective gesture that spoke volumes. This is Gabriel, my boyfriend, and the man who has made me the happiest I've ever been. I can't hide who I am anymore, guys. He's the reason I smile so much during streams and the one who keeps me grounded when the pressure gets too much. The chat exploded instantly, a blur of heart emojis, shocked faces, and rapid-fire questions, scrolling so fast the overlay could barely keep up. Wait, what? Seb is gay. You two are adorable, OMG. Donations pinged in almost immediately, small tips at first, then bigger ones rolling across the screen with personal messages of support. Proud of you, Seb, been following for years. This means everything. Read one from a longtime viewer named Alex who dropped $100. Another from a user called GamerMom hit 200 with a note, "Love is love, you deserve this happiness." The donation counter skyrocketed past Sebastian's usual monthly total in under 10 minutes, leaving him staring at the screen in disbelief, his heart pounding against his ribs. Gabriel squeezed his shoulder, a small, reassuring smile breaking through the tension as he leaned closer to the mic. "Hi everyone, I'm Gabriel, and I just want to say thank you for the love. Seb has been so brave to do this, and I'm right here with him." Sebastian's mind raced back to the argument they had only hours earlier in their cozy kitchen. Gabriel insisting it was time to stop living in the shadows, while Sebastian worried about losing sponsors and the gamer audience he had spent 5 years building from scratch. He had started streaming as a closeted kid fresh out of a conservative Midwest town, where even hinting at liking guys could cost you friends, family, and future. Moving to LA felt like freedom at first, but the fear followed him into every late-night session, every collab, every fan meetup. Gabriel had entered his life 2 years ago at a quiet coffee shop near the university where he taught history to high schoolers. Their first conversation over spilled lattes had turned into hours of talking about everything from video games to family expectations, and by the end of the night, Sebastian knew he had found someone who saw the real him. They kept it private at first, stolen weekends away from the city, secret texts during streams, and whispered promises in the dark. But the weight had grown heavier with every milestone Sebastian hit in his career. Now, with the donations still pouring in, Sebastian read a few more aloud, his voice cracking with emotion. "You guys, this is insane. I don't even know what to say." A super chat from a big name in the streaming world flashed across the screen. "Respect, brother. The community has your back." Gabriel's hand found his under the desk, their fingers intertwining as the reality sank in. This was no longer just their private love story. It was public, raw, and unstoppable. Sebastian glanced at Gabriel, his eyes searching for any sign of regret, but all he saw was unwavering support. The stream continued for another hour, filled with questions, lighthearted stories, and more donations than Sebastian had ever dreamed possible. Yet beneath the excitement, a quiet fear lingered. What would come next when the cameras turned off and the real world knocked on their door? The chat kept cheering, the numbers kept climbing, and for the first time in years, Sebastian felt the heavy chains of secrecy beginning to crack. As the stream wound down, Sebastian leaned back in his chair, exhaling a long breath he didn't realize he had been holding. Gabriel turned to him away from the camera, his voice soft. "You did it, Seb. Whatever happens next, we face it together." The final donation tally flashed on screen, over $10,000 in a single evening, more than enough to cover their rent for months and maybe even fund that dream vacation they had only whispered about. Viewers logged off with promises to return tomorrow for updates, and Sebastian ended the broadcast with a simple, heartfelt thank you. But as the red light on the camera clicked off, the weight of what he had just done settled over both of them like a warm blanket mixed with the chill of uncertainty. Friends would call, family would react, and the internet never forgot. Yet in that moment, with Gabriel's head resting on his shoulder, Sebastian knew one thing for certain: this was the start of something bigger than any game, any stream, or any secret he had ever kept. The night stretched ahead, full of possibility, and the first real taste of freedom he had ever allowed himself to feel. The days that followed the stream blurred into a whirlwind of messages, calls, and media requests that neither Sebastian nor Gabriel had prepared for. Sebastian woke the next morning to his phone vibrating off the nightstand, notifications from every platform imaginable flooding in with headlines like "Popular Gamer Comes Out Live" and "Fans Respond with Record Donations." Gabriel was already in the kitchen brewing coffee, his broad shoulders relaxed under a simple white t-shirt as he hummed an old song they both loved. "Morning hero," Gabriel teased, handing him a mug, the steam curling between them like a gentle reminder that life still moved forward. Sebastian pulled him into a hug, breathing in the familiar scent of his cologne, the one that always grounded him during tough times. "I still can't believe it happened. The donations, Gabriel, they just kept coming. People I've never met are saying this changed their lives." They sat at the small table by the window, overlooking the bustling LA streets, and Sebastian scrolled through the comments, reliving the night. One message stood out from a young viewer named Jordan, who wrote, "Your courage gave me the strength to tell my parents today. Thank you, Seb, and Gabriel, you two are goals." Tears pricked Sebastian's eyes as he read it aloud, Gabriel listening with that patient smile that had first won him over. Their story had begun so quietly 2 years earlier at a mutual friend's house party in the hills. Sebastian had shown up exhausted from a long streaming marathon, expecting nothing more than cheap beer and small talk. Gabriel was there helping with the grill, his easy laugh cutting through the noise like a lifeline. They bonded over shared love of classic rock and bad horror movies, talking until the sun rose. By the second date, Sebastian had confessed his fears about his career, the conservative family back in Ohio, who still thought he was just focused on work, and the constant pressure to perform straight for the cameras. Gabriel listened without judgment, sharing his own struggles as a history teacher in a public school where parents sometimes questioned his influence on students. Their relationship deepened in quiet ways: weekend hikes in the canyons where they could hold hands without fear, late night talks about future dreams, and small acts of care like Gabriel leaving notes in Sebastian's streaming setup, or Sebastian surprising him with tickets to a museum exhibit on civil rights. But the secrecy took its toll. Gabriel wanted to attend conventions together, to meet Sebastian's online friends as a couple, while Sebastian worried about leaks and lost partnerships. The fight the night before the stream had been their breaking point, Gabriel saying, "I love you too much to stay hidden anymore, Seb. If we can't be real, what are we even doing?" Those words had echoed in Sebastian's mind during the broadcast, pushing him to finally act. Now, with the world watching, the couple navigated the new normal together. Sebastian's agent called Mid-Morning Voice, excited about brand deals from inclusive gaming companies that had never reached out before. "This is huge," said the donations. "Prove your audience is loyal and diverse. We're talking sponsorships that could double your income." Gabriel listened from the couch, his expression a mix of pride and caution, having seen how quickly online fame could turn. Later that afternoon, they drove to Gabriel's school for a staff meeting where colleagues offered hugs and quiet words of support, but one older teacher pulled him aside, whispering concerns about parent complaints. Gabriel brushed it off with his usual grace, yet Sebastian saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes during the car ride home. That evening they cooked dinner together, chopping vegetables side by side, the rhythm familiar and comforting. "Remember our first trip to the beach?" Gabriel asked, laughing as he recalled how Sebastian had panicked when a fan recognized him from afar, forcing them to hide behind sunglasses like secret agents. The memory brought warmth, but also highlighted how far they had come. Donations continued trickling in even days later, fans creating fan art of the couple and starting support groups for other LGBTQ streamers. Sebastian read one heartfelt letter from a father in Texas who said his son had watched the stream and finally felt safe enough to open up about his own identity. The words hit deep, reminding Sebastian why the risk had been worth it. Yet beneath the positivity, cracks began to appear. Sebastian's parents in Ohio had seen the news, his mother texting a single question mark followed by a long silence that stretched into hours. Gabriel's sister called from New York excited, but warning about distant relatives who might not understand. The couple talked late into the night on the balcony under the city lights, Gabriel sharing stories from his childhood in a small California town, where being different meant fighting for every inch of acceptance. Sebastian opened up about the bullying he endured in high school the nights. He cried alone, wondering if he would ever find someone who loved him fully. Their conversation wove through laughter, tears, and promises, strengthening the bond that had carried them this far. As they finally climbed into bed, Sebastian whispered, "Whatever comes next, we're in this together." Gabriel kissed his forehead, the simple gesture carrying more weight than any donation total. The world outside kept spinning with new requests and opportunities, but inside their apartment, the focus remained on the quiet truth they had fought so hard to claim. The first crack in their newfound peace came from an unexpected place. Sebastian's childhood best friend Marcus, who had moved to LA years ago and occasionally guested on streams as a fellow gamer. Marcus had always known about Sebastian's orientation, offering support in private, but never pushing for public acknowledgement. When a stream went viral, Marcus showed up at their apartment unannounced, his usual easy grin replaced by something sharper. "Dude, that was bold, but have you thought about the fallout? Some of our old crew back home are losing their minds. Your dad called me asking if it was a prank." Sebastian froze, coffee mug halfway to his lips, while Gabriel stood quietly in the kitchen doorway, sensing the tension. The conversation escalated quickly, Marcus arguing that Sebastian should have eased into it with a pre-recorded video instead of blindsiding everyone, including sponsors who are now pulling back quietly. "The donations are cool, but brands are nervous, Seb. One wrong move, and your channel could tank." Gabriel stepped in calmly, defending the choice, but Marcus shot back with a pointed remark about outsiders not understanding the streaming world. The words hung heavy after Marcus left, leaving Sebastian pacing the living room, replaying every doubt he had buried. That night, he and Gabriel argued for the first time since the announcement, Gabriel feeling hurt by the implication that his presence had complicated Sebastian's career. "I never wanted to be the reason you lose anything, Seb. Maybe I pushed too hard." Sebastian pulled him close, apologizing profusely, realizing how the external pressure was testing their foundation. The next morning, a call from Sebastian's mother arrived, her voice trembling with confusion and hurt. "We saw the video, honey. Why didn't you tell us first? Your father is worried about what the neighbors will say." The conversation stretched for over an hour, filled with tears and careful explanations, Sebastian describing the years of fear and how Gabriel had helped him find his voice. His mother listened, eventually softening with a promise to talk to his father, but the distance in her tone lingered like an open wound. Meanwhile, at Gabriel's school, the principal requested a private meeting, citing a handful of parent emails questioning his role as a role model. Gabriel returned home that afternoon, quieter than usual, his shoulders heavy as he recounted the discussion. "It didn't fire me, but the message was clear: keep it professional. It feels like I'm being punished for loving you." Sebastian listened, holding his hand through the frustration, the couple deciding together to face each challenge as a team. They attended a small support group for LGBTQ couples in the entertainment industry, where stories of similar journeys offered both comfort and caution. One couple shared how public coming out had strengthened their bond after initial backlash. Another warned about the toll of constant scrutiny. Inspired, Sebastian and Gabriel began documenting their daily life in short private videos, not for the public, but for themselves, capturing moments of laughter, quiet dinners, and honest talks that reminded them why the fight mattered. Family dynamics continued shifting. Sebastian's younger sister texted supportively, sending memes and asking to meet Gabriel soon, while an uncle from Ohio sent a lengthy email filled with outdated views that stung deeply. Gabriel's parents were more accepting, having suspected for years, yet even they expressed concern about the sudden fame and its impact on their son's teaching career. The couple navigated these conversations with patience and honesty, turning potential rifts into opportunities for understanding. Donations kept flowing in, now funding a charity stream Sebastian planned to launch for LGBTQ youth organizations, the idea born from late-night talks with Gabriel about giving back. Yet the misunderstandings kept coming, a tabloid article twisting their story into sensational drama, and a former collaborator unfollowing Sebastian on social media without explanation. Through it all, the two men leaned on each other, Gabriel's steady presence balancing Sebastian's emotional highs and lows. One afternoon, they escaped to a secluded park, hiking a familiar trail where they had first said, "I love you." Sitting on a sun-warmed rock overlooking the city, Gabriel turned to Sebastian, his voice soft. "No matter what family, friends, or the world throws at us, this is our story. We write the next chapter." Sebastian nodded, feeling the truth settle in his chest, the conflicts forging a deeper resilience. The donations had shocked everyone, but the real surprise was how love, when tested, could grow stronger than any spotlight or setback. As the sun dipped lower, they walked back hand in hand, ready for whatever came next, the bond between them unbreakable. The betrayal arrived without warning, wrapped in the familiar voice of Marcus during what Sebastian thought would be a casual collab stream to address the ongoing buzz. Halfway through the session, Marcus leaned into his mic with a smirk that didn't reach his eyes. "Look, Seb, I've got your back, but let's be real, you only did this for the clout, right? The donations prove it, people love drama." The chat went silent, then erupted in confusion as Sebastian stared at the screen, his stomach dropping. Gabriel, watching from the living room, felt the sting too, rushing in after the stream ended to find Sebastian sitting motionless. "He was supposed to be my friend. We've known each other since we were kids. Why would he say that?" The words poured out, laced with hurt and anger, as Gabriel listened, offering comfort, while internally wrestling with his own doubts. Had the public reveal truly changed Sebastian, or was the pressure exposing cracks they had ignored? The internet amplified the moment, clips of the collab, spreading with headlines questioning Sebastian's motives and some fans turning skeptical. Donations slowed for the first time since the announcement, forcing Sebastian to confront the financial reality he had taken for granted. Sponsors who had initially praised the courage now hesitated, citing brand alignment concerns. Gabriel's school faced renewed complaints, one parent organizing a petition that threatened his position. The couple spent sleepless nights talking through the pain, Sebastian apologizing for dragging Gabriel into the spotlight, while Gabriel insisted they were stronger together. Yet the misunderstanding grew when Gabriel overheard Sebastian on a call with his agent discussing ways to soften the image for recovery, a phrase that sounded like regret to Gabriel's ears. "Do you wish you had never said anything?" he asked, voice tight with emotion, leading to their first real fight since the stream. Accusations flew, Sebastian feeling accused of selfishness, Gabriel fearing he had become a liability. In the aftermath, they retreated to separate corners of the apartment, the silence heavier than any argument. Sebastian replayed the betrayal, looping through memories of Marcus covering for him during high school, hiding magazines and alibis. The pain cut deep because it mirrored the internal conflict Sebastian had carried for years, the voice whispering that maybe he wasn't brave enough, maybe the love wasn't worth the cost. Gabriel, on the other hand, visited his sister seeking advice and returned with a clearer perspective, reminding himself of the sacrifices he had already made moving across the country for a relationship that now felt tested to its limits. A surprise visit from Sebastian's sister helped bridge the gap, her genuine excitement to meet Gabriel and stories of standing up to their parents offering a glimmer of hope. Yet the crisis deepened when a major sponsor pulled out publicly, citing family values, a move that cost Sebastian thousands and left him questioning every choice. The low point came during a quiet evening when Gabriel suggested they take a break from streaming to focus on each other. Sebastian misinterpreted it as doubt in their future, leading to tears and raw confessions about the fear of losing everything he had built. Gabriel held him through it all, whispering reassurances that love wasn't about perfection, but about choosing each other daily. They reconciled, slowly rebuilding trust through small gestures, shared meals, long walks, and honest lists of what they needed from one another. The donations that had once shocked the world now felt secondary to the real currency of their relationship, understanding and forgiveness. Marcus reached out with a half-hearted apology, claiming he was just joking. But the damage lingered, teaching Sebastian the painful lesson that not everyone could handle the truth. Through the turmoil, the couple discovered new strength, Gabriel channeling his history knowledge into creating educational content about LGBTQ rights that Sebastian helped promote quietly. Their bond evolved, maturing from passionate secrecy to resilient partnership, ready to face the next wave of challenges. The betrayal had forced a reckoning, but it also cleared the air, revealing the depth of their commitment. As they lay together one night, listening to the city hum outside, Sebastian traced patterns on Gabriel's arm. "I choose you every day, no matter what the world says." Gabriel smiled, pulling him closer to the crisis, forging a love that felt unbreakable. The path ahead remained uncertain, but together they were ready to walk it. The sacrifice Sebastian made came quietly one afternoon when he sat down with his agent and declined 3 major brand deals that required him to downplay his relationship for broader appeal. "I'm not hiding Gabriel ever again," he told her, voice firm despite the knot in his stomach, knowing it meant tighter budgets and fewer opportunities. Gabriel learned of the decision later, that evening, his eyes widening with a mix of pride and worry as he realized the financial strain it would place on their shared life. "You didn't have to do that for me, Seb." But Sebastian shook his head, pulling him close. "It's for us. I've spent too many years compromising." The choice triggered a chain reaction, their savings dipping as streaming income fluctuated, and Gabriel, facing increased scrutiny at school, decided to take on extra tutoring gigs to help. The strain showed in small ways: missed date nights, shorter conversations, and the occasional snap of frustration over bills. Family pressure mounted when Sebastian's father finally called, his voice gruff with disappointment. "Son, we love you, but this lifestyle, it's not what we raised you for. Think about your future." The words landed like stones, Sebastian defending his love for Gabriel while fighting back tears. Gabriel supported him through the call later, sharing his own family's mixed reactions, some aunts sending well-meaning but ignorant advice that tested his patience. The couple leaned on their growing network of online supporters, organizing a small fundraiser that brought in enough to cover the lost deals, but the emotional toll lingered. A low moment arrived when Gabriel received a formal warning at school citing community concerns, forcing him to consider transferring to a more accepting district. The possibility of uprooting their life in LA, where they had built so much together, felt like another sacrifice neither wanted to make. Sebastian poured his energy into content that mattered, creating streams focused on mental health and authenticity, inviting other LGBTQ creators to share their stories. The donations returned slowly, this time tied to purpose rather than shock value, and each one carried messages of gratitude that reminded them why they fought. Yet the exhaustion built, Gabriel coming home late from work, Sebastian glued to editing software until dawn. They argued again over balance, Gabriel feeling Sebastian was pushing too hard to prove himself, Sebastian fearing he was failing as a partner. The turning point came during a weekend getaway to the mountains they had planned months earlier. Away from screens and expectations, they hiked, talked, and cried, releasing the pent-up fears. Gabriel confessed his worry about becoming a burden. Sebastian admitted the guilt of dragging him into the public eye. The honesty healed what words alone could not, forging a renewed commitment. Back in the city, they implemented changes, setting boundaries around streaming time and carving out sacred evenings for just the two of them. Sebastian turned down another opportunity that conflicted with Gabriel's schedule, the sacrifice feeling lighter now that it was shared. Family slowly came around, Sebastian's mother sending a care package with a note saying she was learning and wanted to meet Gabriel soon. The couple hosted a small dinner for close friends where laughter and stories replaced the earlier tension. Through it all, the internal crisis Sebastian had faced, the one that whispered he wasn't enough, began to fade, replaced by quiet confidence. Gabriel watched the transformation with quiet pride, recognizing the man he fell in love with now standing taller. The sacrifices had cost them sleep, security, and peace, but they had gained something priceless: clarity and a love tested by fire. As they watched the city lights from their balcony, one evening, Gabriel squeezed Sebastian's hand. "We made it through the storm. Whatever comes next, we're ready." The future stretched ahead, uncertain, but filled with the strength they had earned together. The awakening arrived gradually, like the first rays of dawn after the longest night. Sebastian, standing in their living room, surrounded by the glow of multiple monitors, now displaying messages from fans whose lives have been touched by their journey. "I finally told my family because of you too," read one. "Your story gave me hope," said another. The donations had stabilized into a steady stream, funding not just their life, but a scholarship program for young LGBTQ gamers Gabriel had helped design. Sebastian turned to Gabriel, who was grading papers at the kitchen table, and smiled, the weight of past doubts finally lifting. "I get it now. This was never about proving anything to the world. It was about being honest with myself and with you." Gabriel set his pen down, crossing the room, to pull him into an embrace, the kind that spoke of years of shared battles and quiet victories. They spent the evening reflecting on the path that had brought them here, from the secret coffee shop meetings to the viral stream, the betrayals, and the breakthroughs. Sebastian's family planned a visit for the holidays, his father's gruff acceptance growing warmer with each call. Gabriel's school had shifted too, offering diversity training inspired in part by the attention their story brought to the district. The couple laughed about the early days of hiding hand holding in dark theaters and the thrill of the first public kiss after the announcement. Friends, old and new, gathered for a celebration Marcus included after a sincere apology that mended the rift. Stories flowed late into the night, reminding everyone that growth often came wrapped in discomfort. Sebastian felt the final piece click into place, the internal conflict that had defined so much of his life, now transformed into purpose. As the night wound down, they stepped onto the balcony, the city lights twinkling like stars of possibility. Gabriel rested his head on Sebastian's shoulder, whispering, "We did more than come out. We grew up." Sebastian nodded, the truth settling deep in his chest. Their love had weathered every storm, emerging stronger, clearer, and more authentic than either had imagined possible. The journey had tested them in ways they never expected, yet every misunderstanding, every sacrifice, and every moment of doubt had led to this awakening, a life lived openly and fully. The donations that once shocked the world now symbolized something greater: community, support, resilience, and the power of choosing love over fear. Sebastian glanced at Gabriel, the man who had stood beside him through it all, and felt overwhelming gratitude. In the quiet that followed, Sebastian turned to the camera one last time for a short update stream, his voice steady and grateful. "To everyone who supported us, thank you. This journey isn't over, but I'm finally at peace with who I am." Gabriel joined him, waving to the viewers, the two of them side by side, exactly as they had started. The chat filled with hearts and cheers, the cycle of connection continuing in new and beautiful ways. As they ended the broadcast, Sebastian knew the real victory wasn't the numbers or the fame, but the man beside him and the life they had fought to build. True or false? Publicly coming out as a streamer always brings more positive donations than negative backlash.